The first glimpse of the French coast, a sight George Cross hasn't seen for more than 6 decades.
Although it's happened 65 years ago, it only seems like yesterday, where you forget other things that you'll never forget that, you know.
Travelling back to relive the memories, an important and emotional journey, and at 100 years old, probably his last chance to return. Back in 1944, George Cross was a lance bombardier in the Royal Artillery. Little did he know he was about to take part in the biggest and most highly planned operation in military history.
When we got told we might be going abroad, we were looking forward to it. I don't think anybody was frightened because the excitement was so big, you know. We knew we were going somewhere, but where we didn't know.
In fact, he was among 160,000 Allied troops that were to land on the beaches of northern France in just one day. It was to be the beginning of the end of World War II.
I can remember the landing on Juno Beach as if it was yesterday. We couldn't see a thing, only smoke and water. I've never seen anything like it. It was just like somebody opening the door. You could see ships of all, you couldn't see the water for ships. There was about 50 of us got off the barge. We jumped in the water up to about our knees. All you could see was the dead bodies of sailors and soldiers, you know, being washed by the waves.
That day, 2,500 Allied men lost their lives. It became known as the longest day. For George, the long journey back holds mixed emotions.
I'm going to be excited, that's one thing, and I'm going to be sad to think we lost so many men of ours, you know.
We're looking out to sea, it's calm, but 65 years ago the scene here couldn't have been more different. There would have been hundreds of boats on the water and gunfire just screeching through the air, and tens of thousands of troops about to risk their lives as they stormed onto the beaches just behind me.
This is just the beginning of George's journey back to Normandy. Over the next few days, he, like thousands of other veterans, many from the northwest, will retrace their steps and relive some of the most harrowing memories imaginable. Mel Barham, Granada Reports, in Normandy, France.
That'll be a good memory, won't it?
Yeah.
We'll put that there.
A quiet tribute to those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
So he's not forgotten now.
Memories so vivid, impossible to forget. This is the first time George Cross has been back since the war, the oldest veteran to return. Back in 1944, George was 35 and a lance bombardier in the Royal Artillery. He was among tens of thousands of Allied troops who landed on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day, the biggest military operation ever undertaken. Landing on 5 stretches of the French coast, George came ashore at Juno Beach.
It's only really when you're on the beaches yourself that the full enormity of what happened 65 years ago really becomes clear. For George and the hundreds of other veterans who've returned this weekend to Normandy, these beaches remain the focal point of their pilgrimage. Each one of them have their own unique experiences of what happened that day.
I can hardly believe it, that it's 65 years ago when the water was full of ships, you know. I can still see it now, and it was all activity, you know. Terrible.
few miles up the coast at Arromanches, a chance to see again the scene of the Mulberry Harbour.
Brings back all the memories. That's where we got down on the sand dunes. There was plenty of ships on the water.
But this wasn't just a private pilgrimage of remembrance, it was also a very public occasion, a chance for future generations to offer heartfelt thanks, among those the Prime Minister and even Prince Charles.
It is George.
But among the pomp and ceremony, time too to remember the thousands who never survived D-Day.
Lord bless us and watch over us.
Walking through these cemeteries, what really strikes you is the ages of some of these men who died here. And for George, who's now 100, those ages are even more poignant.
4 of us had to bury a young chap. We had nothing to bury him with, only our hands. From the distance we sounded the bugle bells, and it went right through me today when I remembered all that. Tears were in my eyes and I couldn't help it. I felt cry like a baby.
The years may have grown long, but the emotions are as raw as ever. For George, this has been a very last chance to revisit the places and events that changed not only his life forever, but the lives of all of us who followed. Events that will never be forgotten. Mel Barham, Granada Reports, Normandy in France.
I saw you about 2 years ago in Liverpool, and I'll give you a book of my paintings.
Well, I hope it wasn't too painful an experience.
He's come back for more.
George is the eldest, sir. He's 100.
Really?
You must
You're not
have
100, are you 100?
He's 100 years old.
Or maybe 18. You did see him previously, sir, in
Fantastic.
Liverpool.
But you're not 100 now.
Yeah, 102.
He's 100 now. He's the eldest who's come over this year, sir.
But you know, the extraordinary thing is today is the 113th birthday of that marvellous man, Henry Alling, you know, who was a First World War veteran. And every time I see him, I saw him the other day, I think I could be talking to my grandfather, the late King. He's 1 year younger than my grandfather. That's the extraordinary thing, isn't it? And you've got a very smart cross. I mean, stick.
It's nice to meet you, sir. Nice, lovely meeting you.
His name is George Cross, sir.
George,
His name is George.
it is George Cross. What's that splendid badge you've got?
The Chindits.
Oh, I'm so glad.
He couldn't find his way to Birmingham, so he come over here with us.
Really? Now I'm going to see the Chindits, I think. Is it next week? In Lichfield Cathedral. Will you be there?
We'll be there.
Thank you, sir. Well done, George.
100 years old.